If, like me, you decide not to read reversed cards, how do you know whether a card is blocked or negative or not? And that's what this video is all about. But I'm going to start out just with a quick word about my book. If you have bought it, whether you bought it from me or Amazon, do drop me an Amazon review, please, because they make a huge difference. And if you haven't read my book, you can buy it direct from me, particularly if you're in the UK, or you can get hold of a copy from Amazon. The ebook is particularly good value, and I promise you, it is nearly 400 pages, packed full of tarot information, and it's got a lot of personal reflections and a lot of readings about my life, where I talk very personally about my life and about spreads that I've done that have really made a difference to me. So, how do I know if a card is positive or negative? I'm going to give you a really simple demonstration. And this is one of the reasons why I like to do a 9-card spread. This doesn't really work with a 3-card spread. I'm going to do that in a minute. But when I do my classic 9-card spread, it's very simple. 3 cards for the past, 3 cards for the present, 3 cards for the most likely future. I have already shuffled the cards. This is a live reading for me because I think live readings with real cards and real people is the best way to teach tarot. That's why my book has got a lot of personal details in it. So my question is, how do I best write a rune book? That's my next project, to write a book on the runes. And the first 3 cards represent the past up to this point. Now, the way that I read is quite specific when I do this 9-card spread, because the hardest part about reading tarot is reading the connection between the cards. That's the hardest bit, and yet that is the bit that gives us the detail and the accuracy that is really valued in a tarot reading. So the way that I read is the central card is the main focus, and the cards either side add detail or depth or nuance. And whether I read a card positive or negatively is to do with the relationship between, first of all, this card and this card, and then this card and this card. I'm looking for how the energies work together. And to use a sort of really silly example, if I say large, is that good? Or is that bad? Well, it's for large coffee, large glass of wine, super good. Large bill, large dent in my car, super bad. It's the context between the cards that gives you the detail. So, to give you a demonstration, I'm asking about writing my rune book. This card is about the past. It's something I've always wanted to do. The Star, a long held dream. Definitely. The Ace of Pentacles, in the past, I have stepped out of my comfort zone and it's been a cost, but it's getting me to my highest potential. Those blue mountains there, definitely. I've been teaching a rune a month to some students over the last sort of year. It's been very intense and it's taken a lot of time for me to prepare, but it's been really good. And the Queen of Wands, I've started to feel more confident about my dream. That's definitely true. So that's my past. And the whole point about doing the past reading is it allows you to validate. And if you're reading for someone else, that's really powerful. The 3 cards for the present time are also including advice, because we have the ability to change in the present. So the central card, really positive card, 3 of Pentacles, card of getting a lot of work done, a card of being built on a firm foundation. That card is in the crypts. But am I keeping myself, because this card is in the crypt, the same as with the High Priestess, it can be a card of keeping things in the dark, hiding my light under a bushel. Am I working away quite quietly without really doing anything that can be presented to the outer world? I don't know. It's likely to be a positive card based on the question, but I need the other cards to see. Three of Cups. Now that really resonates now with what I said about teaching to a small group of students. And basically, I've been writing my book as I teach the students both before and after, which is exactly how I wrote my tarot book. And the Wheel of Fortune, I think the Wheel of Fortune is the need for change. And I need to change this way of working. When it comes to runes, unlike tarot, I've kept it very much in student groups. I haven't really shared that much publicly. I'm guessing I should probably do some YouTube videos on the runes as well. You can actually see I've got them all etched into my desk. It's a very important part of my life. And now, perhaps the most important part of the reading, the part that most people are most interested in. But notice how I'm reading each card one at a time. This is how I read professionally. Because if you put all 9 cards out, I certainly go straight to the last 3, and I'm sure you do as well, and clients definitely do. And it means that I haven't read these first 6 well. Now I know I'm skipping through it and I'm doing it super fast. I spend a lot of my time reading tarot, and I'm a speed book reader, speed tarot reader. If I was reading for a professional reading, it would probably take about 10 minutes on this spread. It would depend how easily my client understood it, whether it sat with them well, whether we needed to talk certain things through. So the Ace of Wands. In a creative project, I often associate the Ace of Wands, its energy, with the crown chakra, a sudden awareness, a eureka moment. I wonder whether, as I begin to come out of my sort of closed circles and share more widely, I get feedback that's really helpful. Maybe there's a feeling of this book being very sort of channeled, probably likely to happen. It's likely to be a good card, but I really need to see if either side of this is, say, for example, the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords, or the Knight of Wands and the Eight of Wands. If the cards either side are too fast, too quick, too reckless, then it would suggest that I need to slow down. That I'm not pacing myself well. Let's have a look. Strength, that's an interesting one. I always, when I see Strength with the infinity symbol above her head and the yellow background, it always makes me think of the link between her and the Magician. And I always think the Magician is very active and, oh, I've got this, I'm going to go for it. And Strength is much more feminine and kind of being gentle and kind, and also working with weaknesses. So a feeling that this book will embrace some of my fears about communicating the runes, some of my weaknesses. And a feeling with the Queen of Swords there that once I've done this stage and come out of sharing with my sort of tight circles, with the Queen of Swords there, perhaps I just then write this book very much the way that I would want to write this book, embracing my weaknesses, channeling the information, and not necessarily thinking about the audience, but more making it very true, sort of emotionally raw book. And so you can see that what I've done here is I have read this basically, if I scoot those away, that is the spread. But I've been able to get the detail in, because for each of those cards, there's been one either side. Card at the bottom of the pack, always good. Death. I think that's a very personal card, talking about a personal transition, that becoming more public with my rune work will be an important transition for me. So that's the main way that I ensure that when I'm doing a reading without reversals, I've got the full meaning of every card. Because that, to me, I'm just going to give you one more idea, but that to me is how reading with reversals opens up a spread. Because the Hermit can be wise advisor, it can be spiritual reflection, but it can also be too isolated, and the Peter Pan character. And I just find turning it upside down, meaning blocked, negative, reverse, turning it the right way round, positive, I find it too clunky. I find it's much more detailed and nuanced to read the cards either in a linear way, past, present, future, and to then decide based on the context whether that's positive or negative, or to do my 9 card spread. The other way that I would do it, and I'm not necessarily going to demonstrate it this time, but I have certain spreads where I place, of course it would be the Sun, one of the very few cards with not many negative reasons. Let's choose one. There we go. I will place a card based on my spread in what I call a crossing position. So I've got certain spreads, have a sort of a look through, that use what I call a crossing card. To me, I then read that card in a more traditional reversed position as a problem, something to be integrated, or something to be worked upon. Now, in this situation, we've got the Hermit there, which is sort of individuation, wise guidance, maybe spending too much time on your own. And the problem that's what's crossing him is the Nine of Wands, which can often be PTSD or feeling really anxious and aware and a little bit paranoid. So I would probably read that as my client is too isolated because they don't really trust people and they put barriers up. And that's the way that I would do it. So have a play. And as a as an aside, if you read reversed cards and it works for you, great. The end of the day, reading tarot is about getting an accurate and a helpful reading. Okay, and I'm sharing these videos to give ideas and insights into what works for me. I am not suggesting it's the only way or even the right way. It works for me, give it a go, and if it helps you, fantastic.